Hi, welcome once again to A1 in English channel. In today's lesson, we're going to learn about main clauses and subordinate clauses. And you may wonder what this has got to do with sentence structure. The truth is that the way you combine your main clauses and subordinate clauses is the real meaning of sentence structure. And why is this important? It is important because if you cannot combine main clauses and subordinate clauses correctly, effectively, you have a poor sentence structure, right? And you'll be a poor writer and a poor speaker. That's why it's important. So now let's go ahead and learn more about main clauses and subordinate clauses. What is a clause? A clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a predicate. There are two types of clauses. They are main clause and subordinate clause. Talking about subject. A subject is a thing or person the sentence is about. The thing or person the sentence is talking about. The thing or person that does something in a sentence, while the predicate is the rest part of the sentence. The predicate gives more information about the subject, and the predicate contains the verb. Let's now go ahead and see what a main clause is all about. What is a main clause? A main clause, also called an independent clause or principal clause, is a clause that can stand by itself. It carries a complete thought, making it a complete sentence. What this means is that a main clause can stand alone as a complete sentence. In fact, a main clause is a complete sentence, period. Characteristics of main clauses. Main clauses have a subject and a verb. I've explained the meaning of subject, the thing or person the sentence is talking about, the thing or person that does something in a sentence. Main clauses can function independently as a complete sentence. That's the same thing as the main clause. A main clause is a complete sentence. Main clauses express a complete thought. Examples of main clauses. She enjoys reading books. The dog barked loudly. We went to the market. Now, do you understand what we mean by the fact that main clauses are complete sentences, that they express a complete thought? These are main clauses. They are complete sentences. Are subordinate clauses. Subordinate clauses or dependent clauses are clauses that cannot stand independently as a whole sentence. They depend on the main clause to provide a complete thought. What this means is that a subordinate clause is also called dependent clause. Why is it called dependent clause? Of course, it is the opposite of independent, right? While a main clause is independent, a subordinate clause is dependent. Subordinate clause is like a child that depends on his or her parents to provide for him or her. That's the way dependent clauses are, right? They cannot stand alone. They depend on the main clause for their meaning. You will get to understand what that means by the time you see the examples. Just keep watching. Characteristics of subordinate clauses. Subordinate clauses have a subject and a predicate. Subordinate clauses cannot stand as a complete sentence. They depend on the main clause for their meaning. Subordinate clauses do not make a complete sense on their own. Subordinate clauses are introduced by subordinating conjunctions such as although, because, since. Examples of subordinate clauses. Now, can we see what we're talking about? Subordinate clauses begin with subordinating conjunction. When the bell rang. When is a subordinating conjunction, right? When the bell rang. You can see that this sentence cannot stand on its own. It cannot stand by itself. It doesn't make a complete sense. Yeah, when the bell rang. Now, what happened when the bell rang, right? You will want to know. So, it does not express a complete thought. That's what makes it dependent, right? You're going to see the example. Now, here come some examples combining main clauses and subordinate clauses. Fine. Now, this is where sentence structure sets in. Here now, we are structuring our sentences by combining main clauses and subordinate clauses, right? We have seen examples of main clauses, we have seen examples of subordinate clauses, and we have equally seen that subordinate clauses cannot stand alone. They depend on the main clause for their meaning, right? Now, how do the main clauses support the subordinate clauses? That's what we're going to find out. How do the main clauses support the subordinate clauses? Let's see how that works. Now, main clause. She went to the party. Subordinate clause, because she was invited. Main clause, he continued working. Subordinate clause, although it was late. Now, let's have the sentences combined. Now, let's have the main clause and the subordinate clause combined. She went to the party because she was tired. Now, the sentence makes sense, right? So, we have structured this sentence, and of course, this here now we have a complex sentence. Well, I'm going to make a video on that separately, actually, but for now, let me just tell you that a main clause plus a dependent clause is equal to a complex sentence. Although it was late, he continued working. Subordinate clause, main clause, they've been combined together now to make a complete sentence. Now you can see the way that the subordinate clause depends on the main clause for its meaning. Punctuation rules. Combining main clauses and subordinate clauses is guided by rules. It is guided by rules. You didn't just combine anyhow. Now here are the rules. When a subordinate clause precedes the main clause, use a comma to separate them. That is, when a subordinate clause, right, precedes, comes before. When a subordinate clause comes before the main clause, use a comma to separate them. Example, because it was raining, the subordinate clause comes first. Because it was raining, comma, we stayed indoors. 2. When little Tim saw the clown, he was scared. While he watched TV, I played football. 4. Although he came late to class, he wasn't punished. On the other hand, when the subordinate clause follows the main clause, a comma is usually not needed. In other words, if the main clause comes first, you don't need a comma. Example, we stayed indoors because it was raining. We stayed indoors is the main clause followed by the subordinate clause because it was raining. A comma is not used. 2. Little Tim was scared when he saw the clown. 3. I played football while he watched TV. 4. He wasn't punished although he came late to class. Okay, now it's time to test your understanding with this little exercise. It doesn't matter whether you put the subordinate clause first or the main clause first. Just make sure you observe the rules. Comment your answers, share your opinion, comment your questions. Thank you for watching. See you next time.